Boom, 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 give me harmony. I just need you down here because I want to learn a little bit about childbirth since you honor us with your presence. To tell you the truth, I was thinking of learning anything else, but I had the great honor of Jerry and Linda picking me up, so I had to come sit here, there's a chair for you.
I really like it.
One's right there? Okay, good. Listen, we all are born, right? So, it's all of us. You know, once you know something very deep, before a person is born, you're up there in heaven, wherever you are, and you say goodbye to your friends. And the way it is, it's like this. The one you love the least, that's the one you say goodbye first, right? Then you say goodbye, closer, closer. And the one person you love the most, that's the one you say goodbye to last. So, at that moment when you're born, you're still crying because you said goodbye to the one person you love the most. Still crying. And so deep, so deep. You know, just imagine when you meet somebody again, on what does depend how you say hello to each other. Depends the way you said goodbye last time, right? Simple as it is, right? Listen, if last time when I said goodbye to you I was crying like mad, so now when I see you again I'm just rejoicing like mad, right? But when you say goodbye to you, you say, no, I was looking outside the window, yeah, goodbye. So when I say goodbye, hello, it's hello, right? And I want you to know something in the deepest depths. That all the people you have to meet in this world, you say goodbye in heaven before, right? Because one of the two, if they're born after you, so you say goodbye to them and you were born, right? Can someone tell Shlomo with all due respect you can talk a bit so? And all the people who are older than you, so they said goodbye to you before they left, right? But all the people I have to meet in my life, at one time or another, I say goodbye to them. And the way I meet them here in this world depends on that big goodbye, you know? And I want you to not say here in this world it takes, I have to say goodbye to 10,000 people, it takes 10,000 hours. In heaven it's a second, right? So this baby is still crying. Okay, and I want to go one step further. What is the greatest blessing? What do they say? How do they say goodbye to this baby? How do you say goodbye to each other in heaven? Let's start from the person I love the most. Most. What do we bless each other? I want you to open your heart. You know, this world is a heavy world. It's a very heavy world. It's so easy to get lost. You know, in Hebrew, it's such a holy language, choshech and shochoch, darkness and forgetting is the same letters, right? Same thing. What's darkness? Forget. In this world, it's so easy to forget. And it's so hard to remember. Do you know, when you love somebody very much, what do you say? First of all, what do you say when you say goodbye to them? Just please don't forget how much I love you. Don't forget in this world how much I love you. Begging you. But the most important thing is, you know, in this world, and here I have to share something very deep with you. I think I taught to some of you. I have to start all over again saying, two things can happen to a person in this world. Can become very dirty, and he can become very ugly. Very ugly. And I don't mean only physically. Mentally and spiritually, it can become so ugly. So the greatest blessing is everybody blesses his baby. Don't ever become dirty. But please promise, don't ever become ugly. Do you know the difference between dirty and ugly? It's very simple. Dirty isn't so terrible. Because dirty, you take a little soap, you wash it off. You cry for your tears, you wash your soul a little bit clean again. You're clean. You know what ugly means? You don't look the same anymore. You see, the terribleness of ugly is not just the before is beautiful, now I'm ugly. I look different. Not only I'm not beautiful, I'm somebody else. Somebody else. Gewalt is het heavy, gewalt is het heavy. So now listen to this. What's the baby saying back? Anybody who ever learned a little bit Tanya knows that the person, the moment, at that very moment when you come out into the world, you mamish vow before God. I make a vow before God. I'll always be so holy. I'll always be so holy. Okay, here I want you to open your heart to the deepest depths. Everybody knows that when you swear, you have to hold something holy in your hands, right? This is mind-blowing. So what am I holding in my hands? What am I holding in my hands the last moment before I leave? What am I swearing with? Very simple. The person I love the most. My soulmate. I'm holding her hand and she holds my hand. That's the holiest covenant in the world. So we're holding each other's hands, and I swear, or she swears, always be so holy. But I don't want to, forgetting about soulmates now for 1 second. Whoever that person is, I love the most in this world. I'm holding that person's hand. want you to know the deepest, 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 deepest depth. Imagine if there was something that only God is permitted to be. Okay, it would be clear to me that only God can be there. And then I get an invitation, I can be there also. And I get this illusion, maybe I'm God, right? Because I know only God can be there. How come I'm there? Maybe some of you remember, we're learning it a lot of times. Why did the snake come to Eve and tell her, are you interested in becoming like God? You have to eat this apple. Why didn't you start with Adam? Could have come to Adam. Listen, I know you're searching for God. I know you're a professional searcher, and I've seen you in a lot of those spiritual meetings, and I know you're on the spiritual path, and I remember you from this intensive weekend, and everything, and I remember, oh, Brother Adam, Adam, Sister Snake, I'm great to see you. Also spiritual, very spiritual. The whole thing, So, why didn't the snake start up with Adam? The answer is very simple. Adam knew he's not God. Adam never had the thought of becoming God. He knew his brother Adam, he's okay. Eve, she didn't know yet exactly what she has to do in this world. She knew one thing, that the closest anybody can be to God in this world is a woman. Because the Talmud says that the truth is that when the baby is born, the only one who's there is God and the mother. There can be 2 million people in the room. Nobody's there. Nobody else is there. So Eve knew she has to be like God. But she didn't know exactly how to handle it. But I want you to know that Linda, I want to bless you with something very special. I have a very, very, very deep feeling about that. That the father is in charge when the baby is dirty to make sure the baby is clean again. The mother is in charge of making sure the baby doesn't become ugly. And I want you to know the deepest depths. When I am dirty, my own tears can make me clean. When I'm ugly, my own tears don't reach. I need somebody else's tears to cry over me till I become beautiful. And I want you to know the deepest depths. Do you know how much pain there is giving birth to a baby? How many tears? What are those tears all about? How come a father doesn't have to be there and cry? The answer is very, very simple. What my father has to keep me over, I don't need my father's tears so much. I need my father's teaching. I need my father's love. I don't need his tears. My mother, you see, I want you to know something very deep. I'm sure, I don't know, I'm sure all the women here will testify that I'm saying the right thing. What do you feel when you hold the baby for the first time? Mom is swearing to the baby, I swear to you, that I'll be responsible. You should always be as beautiful as now when you're born. And all the tears of childbirth are the tears crying over the baby, that this baby should never become ugly. And if, God forbid, for 1 second this baby's ugly, my tears will make you beautiful again. And here I want you to know the deepest depths. You know, it's so far-reaching, but I just want to keep a bit of childbirth. Here I have to share a story with you, all of you, especially with Linda and everyone. It's just a deep story. The story is that everybody knows that the whole Baal Shem Tov had a daughter, Udela, and Udela had a daughter, Feiga. And everybody knows that Feiga was married to a man by the name Simcha. And again, everybody also knows that Udela was married Okay, this Simcha, who was the father of Reb Nachman, was the son of Reb Nachman of Horodenka, who was one of the greatest pupils of the Baal Shem. Okay, now listen to this. This Reb Nachman was one of the highest chassidim of the Holy Baal Shem, and he was said, Baal Shem, you know, I want to get married. So I said, wait, I have someone very special for you. Wait. I think I told you a story once, so you got it. And in a neighboring village was a lady, very special woman, and she refused to marry someone who's ordinary. And you know, in those days, the girl is, let's say, 18, 19, she's not married. It's like today being 85, you know? I mean, a girl who's not engaged by 10 and married by 12 is number that's gefährlich, right? She was already 18, 19 years old and she was not married yet. She came to the Holy Baal Shem, and the Baal Shem says, I have someone very special for you. Reb Nachman. Not Reb Nachman of Breslov, it's his grandson, Reb Nachman of Horodenka. Okay, you have to listen to the whole story. Okay, since the Baal Shem Tov was the Shatchan, the Holy Baal Shem Tov was one who got them together. So obviously the Holy Baal Shem Tov made the wedding and everything. The craziest thing happened. After the wedding, he didn't go home, Reb Nachman. You know what? He came home next morning for lunch or for breakfast. Then he said, I'm going back to the bris. No, it just doesn't look normal, right? So after a week she went to the Holy Baal Shem and she said, you know, you're the one who was responsible for this shidduch, for this marriage. My husband hasn't come home yet. So the Holy Baal Shem Tov says, I can't understand this, says the Shamas Kodle was marriage and call me Nachman. Nachman comes and the Baal Shem says to him, why did you go home? He says, Holy Baal Shem, you have Ruach HaKodesh, you have clear prophecy. And if I have a little bit of prophecy, it's because of you. You know and I know the most heartbreaking thing in the world. You know it was decreed in heaven that my wife should die in childbirth. I wanted to live. So I'm not going home. The Holy Baal Shem Tov says to him, why didn't you ask her? She has a right to decide. So she says, please come home. I don't have to tell you, Reb Nachman Gorodenka, the Holy of Holies, and his wife. Can you imagine how they spent this 9 months? Preparing for little baby to come, for her to leave the world. And Reb Nachman, the holy Reb Nachman, was there when she gave birth. 1 second before the baby was born, she says to her husband, I cannot imagine God being so cruel that I should carry this baby for 9 months and I should never hold the baby. I just don't believe that. She says to her husband, please, I'm begging you, pray to God I should live for 4 weeks. So Mamash both are praying so hard. The greatest miracle happened. She lived 4 weeks. Then she took off. At the funeral, the holy Baal Shem Tov is walking next to Reb Nachman. And he says to him, so what happened? How did you keep her alive for 4 more weeks? So he says, because at that moment when the baby was born, I asked God, please, let her stay another 4 weeks. The holy Baal Shem Tov began crying like that. He says, fool! Don't you know when a baby's born, all the gates of heaven are open? Why didn't you pray for her to stay alive forever? Unbelievable story. Anyway, do you know what happens at that moment? Why is the pain so strong? When the baby's born, mamish, a mother swears to God, I'll keep my baby beautiful. It's my tears. And I just want to say one more thing. How do you make a person who's ugly beautiful again? Do you think you walk up to the person and says, you know, I've seen a picture of you 10 years ago, you're really good looking. Now, let's face it. You're ugly like a bitch. You're disgusting. Wouldn't even recognize you. Look in the mirror, the way you look. Terrible. And then this person feels so rejuvenated, right? And says, thank you for telling me. I could never thank you enough for pointing it out to me, right? And now I'll be beautiful again. Open your hearts, friends, let me tell you. This is the deepest depths of it. What's the holiness of a mother? The holiness of a mother is that the whole world can tell you this baby has become ugly. And you swear to God that this baby is the most beautiful thing in the world. You're crying while you say it. Because you know, you're swearing false, right? But for my baby, I'll swear false. You know when you love somebody very much, you tell them, for me, you're always the most beautiful thing in the world. Always, 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 always. Do you know what happens? You swear false? No. You make them beautiful again. And I want you to know something very, 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 very deep. You know why God was so angry at Eve for eating the tree of knowledge? What's so terrible about knowing this is right and this is wrong? This is all cute and sweet. This is not what the mother has to give over to baby. If God forbid a mother said, this is right and this is wrong and this is it, so the baby did wrong, the baby is ugly. Because let's face it, when you do wrong, you become ugly. Your neshama becomes ugly. Sadly. If we would have clear eyes, and we would see how baby is absolutely beautiful when it's born. And never what we're doing to our children sometimes, the way we teach them, how ugly they become. You wouldn't believe it. So God says to Eve, you'll have a lot of trouble having babies. But I want you to know one thing he says. You know what the hardest thing in the world is? To look at a person who did everything to be driven out from paradise. And to swear, I want you to be in paradise regardless. And here I want you to open your hearts. And God says to Eve, I'm driving you out from paradise. Oh, why didn't she ask God, you know? Like this Rebbe Nachman's wife, when she had the baby. Why didn't you ask? Oh, why didn't Adam and Eve ask God, please let us stay? And you know what? They would have brought redemption to the world, one prayer. Why didn't they ask? Why didn't they ask? But you know what it is? I want you to know, we learned it a lot of times. The tree of knowledge doesn't pray. It's clear cut. This is good, this is bad. So hang yourself. It's dead. The goodness is dead. Everything is dead. What do you think she brought death into the world? Because it was... Have you ever seen other people do everything right, but it's dead? There's no life in it. The tree of knowledge doesn't pray. And you know, sweetest friends, how much praying a woman is doing when she gives birth to a baby? So much praying. My best friend is just driving around in shabbos. He says, hey, good shabbos shalom. If I would think for 1 second, lowest of the low, creepiest of the creepiest, how dare you calling me on Shabbos? You should be ashamed that you're driving on Shabbos. It's all cute and sweet. But you know what the saddest thing in the world is? Or the hardest thing in the world? I have to believe that despite this, he's honking the horn and driving around on Shabbos, he's still keeping Shabbos. Don't ask me how. According to the tree of knowledge, he's a creep. Because he doesn't keep Shabbos, right? According to the tree of life, he's still keeping Shabbos. And you know, sweetest friends, you know what the hardest thing in the world is? To tell children don't do wrong. And if they do wrong, to believe that they didn't do wrong. You saw it with your own eyes. No, I didn't. And not only lied to the baby, I lied to God. But you know what kind of a lie that is? It's the highest truth of it. It is the highest, deepest truth. You know, friends, the truth is God is feeding us. Straight. You think the manna came only down in the time of Moses? Manna is coming from heaven all the time. But sometimes it's falling down in front of your door. Sometimes you have to work day and night in order to find your little manna. It's still coming down from heaven. The only thing is, we go through so much pain. We go through so much pain. Here I want to share something with you. Do you know what a privilege for a mother to feed the baby? That means that the baby's manna is coming through the mother. It's unbelievable, right? Unheard of. See, because the baby is living like we lived in the desert when we received the Torah. Everything is coming from heaven, straight from heaven. I want you to know something very, very, very deep. What's the baby crying when it's born? Do you know why my parents were driven out from paradise? Because they didn't ask God, don't drive me out from paradise. So the baby knows already, maybe last time in this world, because they didn't ask God, please keep me in paradise. So right from the first moment when the baby is born, it's crying, please God, don't drive me out from paradise. And here I want to go back to it. How does it feel to be in paradise alone? Very bad. Because Adam was in paradise. The Torah says to be alone in paradise. The Talmud says it's more sweet to be in hell together than to be in heaven alone, right? Because to be alone is not hell, it's worse than that. Unbelievable. I have to share a story with you. The holy Boyaner, the heilige Reb Yitzchok Boyaner, and everybody knows, all the children of Rishon were way out. Just to give you a little taste. You know, when the Holy Rishon came from Russia to Galicia, and if you remember the story, the Tsar of Russia put him in prison, and it's a long story, but anyway he came out. And what happened, brother? It's okay. Anyway, so there was a little boy he heard there's this great Rebbe who's like an angel from heaven, is in Sadiger. He jumped on the wagon. Little boy of 6, cute little boy. Chassidim took him with him. He comes to the Holy Visioner, and he's looking at him the whole time. So the Holy Visioner says to him, what are you looking? He says, Rebbe, I went to Cheder, and my Rebbe told me that angels have 6 wings. I'm looking for your wings. So the Holy Visioner says to the shamus, can you please call in my 6 little boys? So they came in. So he said, and at that time the Vishnu Kinder, maybe let's say between the age of 8 and 14. So he says to his little boy, you see my 6 sons? These are my 6 wings. Anyway, the holy Boyaner was the son of the holy Sadiger. And when he got married, he was just about walking down to the chuppah. Suddenly he says, where's Chanale, my wet mother? How do you call them? Wet nurse? Wet nurse. Because his mother was very, very sick when he was born. It's a miracle she made it. But she couldn't nurse him, sadly not. So he says, where's Chanale, my wet nurse? Okay, now they said, now she's here, He says, I want her to walk with me to the chuppah. So everybody thought, because she nursed him, she's a little bit like his mother. He wants her to walk with him to the chuppah. After the whole thing was over, the Holy Boyaner says, I want you to know, it's not because she nursed me. It doesn't turn me on, she got paid for it. I want you to know why I wanted to walk with her. In vision, it was like a kingdom. He says, one night there was the wedding. Everybody went to the wedding. And I was left as my wet nurse. She fed me, she diapered me, she put me in the bed. And then I heard her saying to herself, I'm sure he'll sleep. I think I'll go to the wedding. And suddenly I felt so lonely. And I looked at her. And you know something he said? She knew what I meant. She says to me, Yitzchak, I'll stay with you. He says, I was only half a year old. But I know what it is to be lonely. He says, for that one night, she stayed home. And she didn't go to that wedding. But that night I swore to myself, when I get married, I wanted to walk with me to my wedding. That's a Ramesh story, sometimes mothers think, oh wow, this boy's crying again and I want to go out. Can you imagine how many little vows this baby is making? Where this baby will take you and you stay home with him. I want to bless you with something very special, all the mothers. There's an unbelievable Torah. The Gemara says, Tefillas overstignem, that prayers was initiated by the fathers, by the parents. So the ordinary meaning is, Abraham initiated Shacharit, the morning prayer, Yitzchak, the afternoon prayer, and Yaakov, the evening prayer. Most humbly, I want to say something about the way a baby will pray all his life, all her life, depends on the parents. Listen, if my baby's crying, I'm going to jump out of bed and say, Rabbi Shem, thank you so much for the great privilege. There's one one little baby in the world who needs me. One little boy or girl who's calling me. And again, I want you to know something. Imagine, God forbid, somebody doesn't have children. First, I want to bless everyone to have children. You think they're in paradise? Or you think they're in hell? They're nowhere. Do you know what it is to have a baby? That's heaven? Must be kidding. It's much higher than that. It's much higher. You see what it is? Because in paradise you can be driven out. But when you have children, they're your children, right? You can hang yourself. You can throw me from heaven to hell, from hell to heaven 2 million times back and forth. Doesn't matter. I'm somewhere else. You know what it is? The way we treat our children, that's the way they believe in God later. If my baby's crying and I run like mad, then my baby knows when I'm crying somebody answers. Always. It never happens that I cry, nobody answers. So later on I teach my baby, you know something? Do you think only I hear you and mommy hears you? God answers you. And all the time when I jumped out of bed, I was only a messenger from God. Kavaltos, my baby, pray later on. Because my child knows there is somebody who hears. And again, I want you to know something very, very deep. I was learning something last week in New York, 2 weeks ago. It was a wedding, and the Aufrufen was in my shul. So I told the parents like this. The truth is, everybody knows the Talmud Says there are 3 partners in the baby: father, mother, and the baby, and God, right? Okay, listen to this. A lot of parents, after the baby is born, will say to God, "Thank you very, very much, but let's face it, we don't need you anymore. No, we have the baby. I know that you, God, have different plans with the baby, but face it. Right now the baby is in my hands. I'm going to make a guy out of this baby. I'm going to make out of this baby something which you may not like, but who cares, right? I teach my baby to be a good American and play baseball very well, make a lot of money. Who cares if this baby knows you or not? The baby will learn it later, you know. Maybe when the baby will be 65 and retire and has nothing to do. Go to shul or something. If it'll be senile enough, you know. It'll be seen over 65. Come on. Now listen to this. I think it's very true. Do you know, I have seen in our generation, a lot of young people get married and they don't invite their parents. You know why that is? I'm sure statistically it's true. The parents can hang themselves on a nail. Weddings are made in heaven, right? Weddings, marriages. God arranges a wedding, not the father, not the mother. So you see, if all their life the parents said to the child, you know, we have a third partner, then when it comes to the marriage which is arranged by God, God says also, listen, I want you to be there, right? But if the whole life the parents said to God, we don't need you, God says, hey, we don't need you here. Okay, I'm sure you don't have to tell it to Linda and Jerry, I want to bless you. I want to bless you and all the parents, and you bless me back. That everything we do for our children, we should always do it in the name of the third partner. Always, always, always. And believe me, the third partner pays very well. He does pay well. And you know what the greatest payment he can give us? That whenever our children become a little bit ugly, it should be our privilege to make them beautiful again. You know, friends, sometimes I watch my own children. It's heartbreaking. Sometimes they come back from school and they become ugly in one day. Ugly in one day. You can lock your children in the house, they invite in somebody else's house on birthday party. Come back. They're ugly. And you know what it is. When children are crying, you know what they're begging you? Please make me beautiful again. Please have compassion. I can't do it by myself. You know what it is to be lonely? To sit one evening alone by television, that is bearable. You know what it is to be lonely? There is nobody in the world who can make me beautiful again. There is nobody in the world that cares enough to cry over me if I'm ugly, if I'm dirty and filthy. And you know what's so sad about this world? The saddest thing in the world is psychology teaches you acceptance, right? It's cute and sweet, but it's not cute and sweet. Do you know what acceptance means? If you're ugly, see ugly. You're filthy, filthy. Sure, I accept you. Don't accept me, let me stay the way I am. I don't like it. Help me to get out of it. I spoke to a psychiatrist last week, you know. Psychology is very good. It's the first half step. It's the first half step. If you stop there, it's a destruction. You know what the deepest secret of life is? Someone is very ugly, to accept them, right? But accept them in such a way that you make them beautiful again by your acceptance. Don't accept them and leave them ugly. For that they don't need friends. You can go to the grocery store. Really? I want you to know something deeper. When parents become ugly, who do you think makes them beautiful again? Only the children. How do they make us beautiful? And here later I want to tell you something, the deepest depths. Everybody knows when a woman gets pregnant, she gets more beautiful. Fact of life, right? But I'm not talking about physically. If you could see your soul in heaven, right? Shining from one corner of the world to the other, bringing down another neshama, right? How far can you go, right? How far can you go? The closest a human being can get to God is create somebody else, right? How far do you want to go? And I want you to know, as beautiful as you are, do you know how beautiful your baby makes you when the baby comes to this world? But the baby makes you so beautiful that with that beauty, you have the strength to make the baby beautiful forever. Whenever the baby comes ugly sometimes, filthy sometimes, a little bit. To share something very, very deep with you. I'm going to make a little stop. I don't want to... You have to bear with me. I hope you're not angry. I'm talking so long about the same thing, but just... Could have poured my heart a little bit. Linda, you know something? When Yeshua was born, and I had the privilege to be there, you know, I said to Ne'ilah, I cannot imagine that I could ever do anything wrong in this world anymore. It was so holy, was so special. Sad enough, you know. Time wears off all the holiness sometimes. I could not imagine I could not imagine myself ever saying anything bad in this world anymore. Okay, and I'm just a father. I'm sure every mother, when a baby's born, mama swears to God, you know, I'll be the Holy of Holies. And just want to bless you and all the mothers, going back to the beginning. I want to bless you when you hold this baby for the first time. And you swear so much because the baby is swearing, holding you and you're swearing. The heart's swearing back and forth. I want to bless you. You should keep all those vows you're making. And I want to bless this baby. You should keep his or her vow. Keep his vows and the vow. And I want to bless you, all of us. You should meet those people who said goodbye in heaven. You should meet them here in this world. It's a great joy. And I want to share with you some unbelievable things. It says Elijah the prophet will come and unite parents and children again. You know something? I'm sure of it. Why is Eliyahu HaNavi coming to a bris? Which is very special. I have not seen yet mentioned it in Chassidus anywhere. I have a very deep feeling. The truth is that only the mother and God are there. But I have an unbelievable feeling that Elijah the prophet is ours. How could it not? How could it not? And you know what Elijah the prophet does to parents? He reminds them. You remember the vow you made to God when the baby was born? You remember all the vows you made to God? Praying in your stepchildren? And you know something? Imagine Elijah's prophet tells the children, I know you're angry with your father and your mother. They become so ugly and so stupid. I want you to know when you were born, they were so beautiful. So if they're ugly today, why didn't you make them beautiful again? You know, friends, Elijah the prophet walks the streets of the world. It's unbelievable. There's an unbelievable reawakening. Mama's children want to make their parents beautiful again. It's a little bit hard. I do understand hard. Believe me, it's not so hard to make children beautiful. Because how ugly could they get? It's such outside ugliness. One tear makes them beautiful again. But parents sometimes come so ugly inside. And it takes so much out of us to believe that it's only the outside of the inside. It's not the inside of the inside. You know the way I translate to myself? This Shabbos we read on Mount Sinai. So when we stood on Mount Sinai, God says, can you give me a little guarantee that you'll keep the Torah? We said, our parents will take the guarantee. God says, no, it doesn't turn me on. So we said, our children. God says, okay. It has millions of meanings. But I just want to say to you friends, and bless Linda and Jerry and all of us, God says to us, who will remind you of Mount Sinai? I say, my parents remind me. God says, I'm sorry. There'll be a lot of generations where parents will not remind you of Mount Sinai. So then we said, our children always remind you of Mount Sinai. Children remind you of the holiest things in the world. I really just want to bless you and me, all our children, that the world should not make them ugly. I think the biggest favor, I know Lillian and Josh prepared the highest feast for us, but just want to say kaddish, I have to say kaddish after my mother. If you could just also, let's make a strong circle for 1 minute. Okay, friends, could you come just a bit closer and don't be stiff? Just come here, Bill Allen, stand next to me.
Again,
my friends, I want you to know something, you know. I just spoke to Neila a few minutes before, and I swore to her that I'd give Mamish the highest blessings on her name to Olivia. Why, Olivia? Listen, I'll tell you something. Neila told me to let you know that Mamish, moments when you kept her alive. So she blesses you that your baby should always keep you alive. Always. I want to bless you whenever the baby wakes up in the middle of the night and you're so tired. I want to bless you that God should give you so much light from heaven. You know, when Shaul was born, someone asked me, how does it feel when she's crying, when she's calling you? So I said, gives me a little taste how God must be feeling when we call His name on Yom Kippur. You know, sweetest friends, when I walk into the street and somebody calls me, hey, Rabbi Carlebach, let's say, how deep does it reach? Okay to know, huh? Sweet, right? Someone calls me, hey, Shlomo, it's a little bit closer, right? If you want to know how much you love a person, how does it sound when they call you? Where does it reach? Are you turning your head? Or are you turning your whole self? You know when the child is calling you? You know where a child is reaching? I think I told some of you, sometimes when it's a privilege, deepest privilege, sometimes in the morning, I have like some of you were in an old house there. I was sitting down with my phone, and one of the strongest things I believe so much, that children should feel at home with books. Because imagine, God forbid, you tell children, hey, don't take the book, you'll tear it apart. So their whole life they'll be afraid of books, right? I don't care if they tear my books apart. I'd rather have the books apart than my neshama's heart apart, right? And usually they don't tear books apart. Tell them in sweet way. Okay, I would learn my storm and she would really like to have thing with all the books. She wouldn't tear them apart, just take them out, take them in, okay. So from time to time she needed my attention. She would pull my pants. But you know something? She was pulling my pants. She was pulling my neshama. Do you know where children's hands are reaching? Do you know where children's hands are reaching? I want you to know something deepest. When a baby is crying, you think they're only crying because they are hungry, they are thirsty. You know what's so sad about us when we grow older? Become more selfish. Children who just came from heaven, you know when they cry, the whole world is crying out of them. The 2,000 years of exile is crying out of them. I often wondered, you know, again, the only human being. I often wondered, how can I ever do wrong after I heard the baby cry? How is that? Sad enough, you're so immune, you're so cold. And sad enough, it becomes so ugly that we don't even know beautiful things. Have you ever spoken to children? They mamish believe that their father and their mother are the most beautiful people in the world. It's clear to them. You know why it's so clear to them? Because they know if the parents would only let them, they can make them to the most beautiful people in the world. Every child has it in him, in her, to make the parents the most holy and exalted people in the world. Anyway, I want to bless Linda and Jerry, and I want to bless Olivia and Shlomo, all of us. For children. I wish